Hi all, welcome to the last episode of our Turkish series featuring Pamukkale and Hierapolis. On the second day in Antalya, we booked a day tour to Pamukkale through the Get Your Guide website. You can find the link in the description below. The day trip covered pickup, drop-off and lunch. We started our journey at 6 in the morning and it took around 3.5 hours to get to Pamukkale, which is in Denizli. The plan for the day trip includes visiting the Pamukkale thermal pools, the Hierapolis theatre, the ancient city of Hierapolis, antique pool, and the archaeological museum.
Travertines are here. So during the Roman times, it was a kind of spa center because of the hot thermal waters. So the water has some healing. We're coming here for the healing purposes. But who is coming to the spa centers, this kind of places a lot? Mostly the old and sick people, but not everybody was surviving. So some of the people were dying. So that's why there is also the biggest ancient cemetery.
After purchasing your ticket and clearing security, you'll first enter the city through the South Byzantine Gate. Once you enter, the remaining columns of the Roman city's gymnasium built during the 1st century AD will be to your left.
It's an important figure for the Christians. He was martyred here, and then in the 5th century they buried him in this place, and they founded a martyrdom for him. In 2011, Norwegian archaeologists found his grave here. So, but it really takes time to go up there. So there are lots of tombs just around the martyrdom, because it was very important for them to be buried near their saints once upon a time. Okay, let's go.
Within the Hierapolis Pamukkale complex is the Cleopatra pool, sometimes called the Pamukkale Antique Pool. This is not a travertine pool. According to legend, this artificially sculpted pool was a gift from Mark Antony to Cleopatra. It is actually the most famous of the Mark Antony gifts to Cleopatra, the Egyptian queen. Once it was surmounted by a Roman temple to Apollo with ornate roof held up with Doric columns. According to the historical record, we don't actually know if Cleopatra visited her pool. In the 7th century, an earthquake toppled the surrounding building and the massive marble Doric columns tumbled into the pool, where they rest on the bottom to this day and visitors can swim among them. Hence the name Antique in the Pamukkale Antique Pool. The spa water contains bicarbonate, sulfate and carbon dioxide, as well as iron and radioactive combination.
So the spring is coming out from here. So you can see the content of the water in the signboard.
Before we go to the Hierapolis theatre, let's explore the history of Hierapolis. Hierapolis was originally a Phrygian cult center of the Anatolian mother goddess of Cybele and later a Greek city. Its location was centered upon the remarkable and copious hot springs in classical Phrygia in southwestern Anatolia. Its extensive remains are adjacent to modern Pamukkale in Turkey. The Phrygians built a temple dedicated to the mother goddess Cybele on the site, probably in the first half of the 7th century BC. From well before the time of Greek colonization, the area was seen as a gateway to the underworld and a place of communication with the underworld deities because of the toxic gases that emerged from a hot spring inside the cave. Hierapolis was founded as a thermal spa early in the 2nd century BC within the sphere of the Seleucid Empire. The theatre was probably constructed under the reign of Hadrian after the earthquake of 60 AD. The facade is 300 feet long, the full extent of which remains standing. In the cavea, there are 50 rows of seats divided into 7 parts by 8 intermediate stairways. The diasoma, which divided the cavea into 2, was entered by 2 vaulted passages. There is an imperial lodge at the middle of the cavea and a 6-foot high wall surrounding the orchestra. The auditorium was rebuilt as well, substituting the ancient limestone seats with others in marble and realizing a high podium on the orchestra in order to adapt the building to the organization of Venetians and gladiator schools. The auditorium consisted of stacked seating with a capacity of 15,000 and was bisected by the main aisle. It featured an imperial box. The lower part originally had 20 rows and the upper part 25, but only 30 rows altogether have survived. The St. Philip Martyrium stands on top of the hill outside the northeastern section of the city walls. It dates from the 5th century. It was said that the Philip was buried in the center of the building, and though his tomb has recently been unearthed, the exact location has not yet been verified. The martyrium burned down at the end of the 5th or early 6th century, as attested by fire marks on the columns. Philip is said to have been martyred in Hierapolis by being crucified upside down or by being hung upside down by his ankles from a tree. In 2011, it was announced that Philip's gravesite may have been discovered about 40 meters from the martyrium. The Plutonium is a temple to the god of the underworld, Pluto, and features the gate to the underworld. You will see the momentous replica statue of Pluto, which stood in this temple. Down in the temple courtyard, you can see the entrance to the cave of the underworld where sacrifices would have taken place. This is not all myth, however, as this rock fissure emits deadly carbon dioxide fumes. There are multiple first-hand accounts of animals being taken to the cave entrance and dropping dead from asphyxiation. Surrounding this sacrificial area is a standing room theatre from which worshippers could watch the sacrifices. This sanctuary is one of the most famous in Asia Minor and would have been used from the 2nd century BC to the 3rd century AD. As Christianity began to rise, the Byzantines covered the view of this cave with a wall in the 5th century. Pamukkale, meaning cotton castle in Turkish, is a natural site in Denizli province in southwestern Turkey. The area is famous for a carbonate mineral left by the flowing of thermal spring water. It is located in Turkey's inner Aegean region in the river Mendes Valley, which has a temperate climate for most of the year. The ancient city of Hierapolis was built on top of the travertine formation, which is in total about 2,700 meters long, 600 meter wide and 160 meter high. It can be seen from the hills on the opposite side of the valley in the town of Denizli, 20 km away. Travertine is a form of terrestrial limestone deposited around mineral springs, especially hot springs. It often has a fibrous or concentric appearance and exists in white, tan, cream colored and rusty varieties. It is formed by a process of rapid precipitation of calcium carbonate, often at the mouth of a hot spring or in a limestone cave. In this area, there are 17 hot springs with temperatures ranging from 35 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. Calcium carbonate is deposited by the water as a soft gel which eventually crystallizes into travertine. One of the most interesting pieces of the wider Pamukkale Hierapolis archaeological site is its archaeology museum. Contained within the ruins of the restored Central Roman Baths, the museum offers an array of artifacts found within the site and the surrounding region. The museum is located just opposite the travertines and just before you reach the antique pools. There are several notable sarcophagi with stunning carvings. You are also able to learn more about the restoration and excavation process which went into the site. As you see the artifacts, you are also able to take in the architecture of the once grand marbled Roman baths. Outside the main bath structure is also a small park with other artifacts and column capitals that were recovered from the site. Admission is included in your ticket to the archaeological park and it takes under 30 minutes to tour the 3 main rooms. Hierapolis is an ancient city located on the top of Pamukkale and is a World Heritage Site. There is a mixture of pagan, Roman, Jewish and early Christian influences. Since the hot springs of Pamukkale were used as a spa since the 2nd century, people came to Hierapolis to soothe their ailments and often retire and die. The complex was constructed in the 2nd century and there are few historical facts known about the origin of the city. Many of the statues were transported to museums across the world and in 1970 a museum was built on site. Main sites in Hierapolis include Roman Theatre, Temple of Apollo, Plutonium, Nymphium, Necropolis. The Basilica Bath is located near the northern necropolis of Hierapolis and was built originally in the 2nd century AD. In the 6th century, it was turned into a church and Christian symbols were carved into the keystones above the arches. Agora means marketplace and place of public assembly. This big open market was set up near the Roman baths in Hierapolis. Local public meetings were also held here. Archaeologists found some inscriptions which have given some important information about the social life of the city in this agora. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked the video. It's the last episode of the Turkish series. Before finishing the series, I want to tell you that I'll be making another exciting video about the places in Turkey we haven't explored yet.